Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Triggered. I'm your host, Zachary Clark, and you all know my co-host, Adam Furman. Hey, Adam, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. I want to show off one of my children's Pokemon artwork.
Ooh,
if that's all right.
I'm eager to see it.
Ready? Let's do that. What is that on the show? Name that Pokemon, or who's that Pokemon?
Who's that Pokemon? It's Pikachu! Pikachu looks very excited in that image, and it looks like he has some sort of beard beak.
I think it's like that, it's like the soy face thing.
Is he doing soy face?
I don't know. I love my kids, and I saw this, and I was like, "Wow, that's something."
It's creative. I did receive a original artwork from, I believe it was Lincoln, of a Charmander today, and it was pretty awesome. Hanging up in my office currently, so pretty amazing. Pretty good work. How old is the boy now?
He's 5. He drew that one too.
5 years young.
The mouth thing. His brother's like, Dad, that mouth looks really funny.
He's executing the Thunderbolt attack. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. You know what I'm talking about. After years of Pokemon training and brutally taming wild Pokemon to his will.
Yeah.
Ash has had enough.
Hey, he's in like a bathtub or something, right?
Yeah. He's holding Pikachu in a bathtub and he says, Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. To take his own life.
Demented.
Oh, it is. Wait a minute, hold on a second, let me read something real quick. It looks like we're coming to you live from the year 7529 on the Julian calendar.
That's amazing. Julian calendar.
Yes, which is the same as the Byzantine calendar, based on the Julian calendar, where September 1st of 5509 BC was the beginning of creation, and they counted years from that date forward. And I found an interesting post from 2018, so I had to tack on 3 years, of course, for the maths. And this year, because we were talking about what year it was earlier.
Yeah.
And under the Julian calendar, it is 7529. Maybe we should go back to that young Earth theory where we are, where the Earth was sprung into being at 5509 BC. Under the current. I guess it would just be year 1.
Who is the dumb question here? What was the Julian calendar named after?
Julius Caesar. You know the guy who was betrayed by his good friends in the Senate and murdered because he was ascendant to God Emperor status. To prevent such a thing from happening, only to then have a brutal civil war, Augustus seized power and led Rome into a golden age, presumably.
Yeah, as God Emperor.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's lots of interesting material out there on Augustus that I saw a recent video someone put together, and it was talking about the way that Augustus wielded power. And it wasn't always hard power, but it was similar to Washington in such a way where he crafted a persona, and then that was like the propaganda and the marketing of who Augustus was. Became this larger-than-life figure that he then could use to wield popular opinion in his favor to then sway the Senate and other people in power to continue. See, he had an extremely long reign, and like emperors after that apparently didn't get the technique because they were just like, another one. DJ Khaled was back in early Roman Empire times. Just like one after the other, murdered and deposed or whatever. He also started the tradition of selecting a politically viable person to be his heir instead of like just his boy or whatever.
Yeah. You also run into issues shortly after that. Wasn't Nero not too far down the line after that?
Well, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but like the storyline of Gladiator actually isn't like too far off from like baseline how it happened. But Marcus Aurelius, who was like philosopher king, emperor of Rome, decided to break with tradition and was dead set on having Commodus, his boy, become emperor after him. But instead of using the tradition of finding someone who is politically viable and acceptable to a number of factions or whatever. And it ushered in an area of hereditary rule in the Roman Empire, which led to, Nero notoriously, and another one. It was hedonistic governor, or emperor, what was his name? I can't remember now.
Trajan?
No. Hold on, we're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Oh
no. Google is our friend. Hedonistic emperor.
Why was the Julian calendar named after Julius Caesar when it's talking about Earth creation?
Unclear. I mean, I think he might have instituted it, or it might have just been named after him because.
Not like Pope Julius, or if there was a Pope Julius.
Julius. He is Julius Caesar. He began the Caesars, man.
I don't know.
Caligula. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
The Julio-Claudian dynasty began with Augustus, followed by Tiberius, then Caligula, then Claudius, then Nero. And then in the 68 to 96 year of the four emperors, where's Marcus Aurelius? Oh man, I apparently just don't have this right.
Yeah.
If this Wikipedia article is correct, it's much more complicated than I. Don't take my word for it. I'm not some kind of Roman historian. You can read it for yourself on the internet.
It's not our job to educate you. You can educate yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of things you can read on the internet, you can read things from the Scanner Radio. From the inbox, Hannibal, Missouri, raccoon bite, 2004 Broadway.
Jeez.
Hannibal Police Department responding. Oh my gosh. Look, in my experience, raccoons, they run away from you or leave you be unless you're trying to get after them. So I don't want to pretend that or guess at what this person might have been trying to get up to, but I understand the draw.
I was just thinking rabies. I was just thinking it has rabies. That's how I got that.
Well, this
I don't know
first
what you're
person is
talking
praying that they don't, so hopefully the Lord will listen and say that the raccoon did not. But I have long had a dream ever since I learned of the Siberian fox genetic experiments of creating a breed of domesticated raccoons to be household pets. They're dang clever. They have opposable thumbs and can do all sorts of fun stuff. It's like monkeys, except for, I don't know, funner. Apparently, when my dad was a child, they did have some baby raccoons at one point. I had captured one as well, but it was too old to actually tame. And so it was just mean and feral the whole time. Untamable.
How'd you capture it? Maybe you could give this guy a few pointers.
I used welding gloves so that it couldn't, pierce my flesh. And then I snatched him. He was hiding behind a bookcase in my garage.
Okay, so he was already in an enclosure.
Yeah. My cat had kittens. Kittens were in the garage, and wild animals would get in there to try to eat the cat food, like possums and raccoons and things, and I would have to take care of them. But I captured this raccoon was a juvenile, so I thought I could tame it and become friends. It was never very happy. My dad's in chat, and he said, "What?"
Nothing.
My dad's in chat, and he says that the raccoon that they had when he was a child was named George. My raccoon's name was Francois. He was French. It is me, Francois, the raccoon. It was mostly just like...
yeah, it's like that. Like that clip from Elf, right? Oh, someone needs a hug. And it's like... So did you set it free or what?
Yeah, eventually. I couldn't tame it, so I let it go.
Okay.
Scampered right off into the yonder. We also had this from the inbox. What was that loud noise and white light between 6th and 7th 16 minutes ago?
Yeah, I saw that one. Someone said it was rods of God.
Well, we've talked about this periodically, and you Quincy natives on the line will know this. There are sonic booms that go off. And they're completely unexplained ever. The first time I heard one when I was here, I didn't know what was happening. I was shocked. I had to get on the internet. I'm like, obviously this massive sonic boom that rattled windows everywhere across town. My wife sent me a text from, across town. I was at work. And she said, "Did you hear that? What was that?" I'm like, "I have no idea. Let's see what the news says." Click, 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 click. Nothing. It's not reported. Everybody just accepts. It's like, "Oh yeah, that happens all the time." I'm like, "What is it?" Like, it just happens all the time. No, but we should probably know if there's sonic booms happening. Or the fighter jets was there? Nah, it just happens all the time. Don't worry about it. I'm just like, I am. But people don't around here. They just they're into it. There was a guy that has some Russian fighter jets out at the airport or whatever, but those are shut down, and so the sonic booms aren't obviously coming from them.
Because isn't that the World Aircraft Museum or whatever it's called?
Yeah, he's that guy's a whack job. But he did have some functioning fighter jets. At one point in time, some MiGs and whatever, and they did fly, and the sonic booms were attributed to that guy and his jets. But the jets aren't actually functioning, so it's not him. Then some people said that it might have been Andrews Air Force Base from St. Louis, and they're flying like training sorties over Quincy for some reason. I don't understand. Well, that seems weird, and it seems like something that you might be able to figure out if you were, say, the news. You wanted to try to identify these mysterious booms that are occurring over town. So, in chat, if you might know, please respond to this query if you have some insight into what these sonic booms may or may not be. Dude, don't worry about it. It's just stuff that happens.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Right. You can't ask questions.
In other news, local news in Quincy, not only was there mysterious explosions and raccoon bites, but we had a primary election and the candidates for mayor were decided. Young Mike Troop here defeated Paul Havermale for the Republican primary. And young Brendan Hills was defeated by Nora Baldner in the Democratic primary. And so it's going to be Mike Troop v. Nora Baldner for mayor of Quincy. Mike Troop feels like he has a lock on it from this article. But I don't know. Things are shaken up with the, I think, current mayor has been in office for at least 2 terms, perhaps more. And so it's been a while. Some people might be frustrated with Republican leadership. Mayhap they want to change. Mayhap they want liberty. Maybe there's a group in town that could foment some libertarian change. In any event, we'll see what happens here. I actually didn't get a vote. Molly had a nosebleed at school, and so I could take her to the voting place after work. We had to come home. Sad.
Oh. At least you had your absentee ballot, right?
I know. I absolutely had no... You're not allowed to do that. That's not allowed. You vote in person at the polls on voting day or you're a communist. That's my position. I mean, unless you're like at the International Space Station or deployed for military service or something like this, then by all means, absentee vote. Otherwise, drive the 2, 3, 4 blocks, take the bus, walk, whatever you need to do.
But the lines are so long, Zach.
Move out of Chicago or whatever. I don't know.
Stand out.
I've never experienced any lines at the polls in my entire life.
I did, and for the election of 2012, me and my buddy were standing outside for, I don't know, like 5 or 10 minutes.
Was that in DeKalb?
Well, it was at the golf course, but yeah, it wasn't DeKalb.
Up in
Sycamore.
I don't know. Never had that problem. I've never had to wait. You walk in and then
it's not a problem. Democracy isn't a problem, man.
You're a problem, man. Oh, but it's a shame. It's a shame that I couldn't vote. Because, you know, participating in the system is important so that you might prevent things like, I don't know, electing unfit people, maybe go rogue and bomb different nations, etc., etc. But perhaps you don't care. Perhaps it's not the bombing that you have a problem with. Maybe it's the mean tweets that accompany them. You may have heard. Breaking news! Breaking news! U.S. launches airstrikes in Syria. First confirmed military strike from the new Biden administration. We've been executing active wars in like 4 theaters, but I'm sure this is the first military action conducted in the entire month that he's been president. But no, this is the first one that they've just publicized, so it's the only one that's been announced in the news. And it was retaliation against Iranian-backed militias in Syria that launched a rocket attack against positions. I'm going to say American positions.
I think it was a Dairy Queen we built.
A civilian contractor was killed, and at least one U.S. service member was injured in the attack. And so this is the first public, PR'd military action taken by the new Biden administration. Let's see what we have to say here. People arguing against this. Do you know why Biden approved this? Syria has been launching missiles at American forces in bases in Iraq. So now ask yourself, should we just let them do that? Or should we make them pay so they won't continue to attack our military in Iraq? Question mark, question mark.
I was like, I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot.
I mean, just try and unpack it. I don't know. In general, I'm not for these bombing half measures in general. I am of the opinion that if you want to go to war with somebody, you mobilize the entire infrastructure of your nation and conquer them into the ground.
Yes. Operation Overlord.
That's how you do it. That's how great grandpa did it. That's how we ought to be doing it today. But we just launched cruise missiles and whatever, and I don't understand it. But anyway, so perpetrating the forever war, continuing, and there's been different stories about ramping up military activity. I think we covered it. There was some armored vehicles rolling into a small Syrian town, etc., etc. And it's funny because depending on who's in office and who's doing the bombing, depends on who thinks it's good and who thinks it's very bad. And so we got some evidence about why maybe the people that support Biden might think it's good, because we have somebody with a rainbow flag in their Twitter handle saying, "So different having military action under Biden. No middle school level threats on Twitter. Trust Biden and his team's confidence."
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. And then it says, replied directly to that person, "Such a quiet attack. No drama. No TV coverage of bombs hitting targets. No comments on how presidential Biden is. What a difference." And the commenter that decided to clip these tweets and then tweet them out said, "Summarize. No mean tweets, just bombs. The new Democratic slogan."
Yeah.
And also the title of this podcast tonight. No mean tweets, just bombs. All right. Here's what I'm going to say to you. I'm going to say to all you folks out there tonight, you can listen up. When we drop bombs on a country, we probably should know about it. There probably should be drama and TV coverage of those bombs hitting their targets. There should be some comments on about whether or not this was appropriate response to what was happening and the collateral effects of it. Perhaps these bombs struck a wedding party on accident because they were mistaken for a terrorist organization or so. And maybe that should be questioned and looked into by the press. Maybe there should be some tweets out there from the president saying why he thought this was a good idea and he needed to do it. Why he needed to launch cruise missiles into Syria to strike Iranian militia-backed targets that launched rocket strikes. How did they know? What we don't know anything. But it's fine because Blue Tribe's the one launching the bombs. And you know, it's refreshing almost to go back in time. I feel like it's Obama reborn. And it wasn't the only one.
Like Libya?
Oh, yeah. And all the questions that people raise about the use of force doctrine and whether or not this force was authorized because Syria wasn't a theater that was covered under whatever authorization of force was passed by Congress whenever Trump would do anything. It's all fine now. Don't worry about that, folks. And you may have heard that Obama recently did some sort of interview. And The Hill had this quote. It said, "Listen, Obama says he once broke a classmate's nose for calling him a racial slur." Oh, how violent, Obama. And then this savage tweeter says, "Just wait until you hear what he did to an entire wedding party in Yemen." Oh, it's right. He ordered drone strikes against them, killing women and children. Oh, Obama. He's so silly with this Nobel Peace Prize around his neck.
Little rascal.
Oh, that's silly, Obama. He broke a guy's nose one time for using the N-word at him. for using the N-word. Oh, he's so, vindicating that racial injustice while also ordering the drone strike against innocent women and children and others at wedding parties and funerals.
And American citizens.
We have a commenter say, "Didn't we kill an Iranian general?" Yes, we did. I believe his name was Soleimani. He was actually coordinating terrorist strikes from these Iranian-backed militias. He was in Iraq for some reason, and then Trump ordered a strike against him.
Right. Which, I don't know. Do we have use of force in Iraq?
I don't know. It was. Oh, he's provoking war against Iran. Oh, it's illegal assassination. It's illegal for him to strike this Iranian general who was coordinating terrorist attack through Iranian-backed militias in Iraq. It's fine when Obama drone strikes an American citizen in Yemen, but this strike, I don't know. Okay. I'm not in favor of these drone strikes in general. I am of the personal belief that a much more effective technique in dealing with these individuals would be to have special forces guys pick them up, drag them back to the United States, try them in federal court, and then hang them in the National Mall. This is what I would like to do to them. However, no one listens to me, and they just drop bombs on them. I'm like, okay, how much cooler would this have been? I'm just going to lay this out for you. We've identified the camps where the militias are. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a few platoons of Green Berets under cover of darkness. And they're going to go bag and zip tie these a-holes, throw them in Hueys, and then we're going to ship them back to Washington. where we're going to try them on national TV in front of everybody and show everybody idiots how these idiots operate and who they are. And they'll be crying on the gallows as they're strung up and then their feet dangling and twitching as they're executed. I submit this is the way. Some freaking drone strike attack. Militant camps. Don't get me started on Osama bin Laden. We even had the guys there. Navy SEAL team in the guy's bunker. Putting bullets in him instead of sacking him and bringing him back home to face justice. This is probably just because I watched Hang 'em High again the other day. It's me all fired up. Key themes to those films is about the difference between enacting sort of extrajudicial vindication against folks and then actually going through the process and having them hanged after a trial and how it means different things. Great film. It's currently streaming on Prime. If you have a membership, give that film a watch. I believe it was from the 60s. One of Clint Eastwood's first films.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to get a pack of Kentucky Cheroot cigars. Go ride some horses someplace. But Obama did vindicate himself and the entire African American race by breaking a guy's nose one time for saying the N-word. I wonder what he'll do to Joe.
Oh, no.
Now, you may have heard about this, but there was some controversy. Apparently, Joe Biden was giving a speech before the UN, and Joe Biden some of his words, and he said this.
I'm eager to hear. Nigger to hear next from my good friends.
Wait, what was that?
Nigger to hear next.
What was that?
Nigger to hear next
Oh,
from my good
oh
friends.
my gosh, Joe. That's not an appropriate word to say on TV. Anyway, I think he was saying eager. People think he was saying the N-word because it sounded like that. He said eager with an
People
N
think he said
sound.
it because it really sounded like it.
It sounded exactly like it.
Nigger to hear next from my good friends.
Oh, gosh.
Nigger to hear next
Oh.
from my good.
Oh, Joe. But yes, he was saying eager. He was eager to hear from. He was eager to hear from who was going to speak next. And next and eager, I think, got merged together. And he said neager. N and eager to hear. So I don't believe he said the N-word, but it is funny to say that crazy dementia Joe Biden was so confused that he dropped the N-word on TV speaking to international folks. People were trying to make a big deal of it. I didn't care, really. I just thought it was a little bit funny. And I thought it would be even more hilarious if someone would just clip out his nigger and then would just use that in nefarious, trolly ways.
Was that person you?
Completely inappropriate to do. And completely obscene, but also funny. What?
I was thinking of President Biden and completely inappropriate things, and I just got to thinking of that degenerate "not my president" thing.
Oh
which is
yes, well,
disgusting, and don't.
We're not going to discuss that.
No. That's all. You're like, oh, what? Oh my God, do I even say it?
Oh, you should not. That is gross.
Yeah.
Though I will
So,
periodically check
moving
in on it and send you the picture update.
Don't. I hate when you do that. I'm just
It's so
I'm just gonna block that account.
You probably should. That was probably the
Yeah.
best way to go. But in line with this, I came across this interesting tweet. A gentleman.
Sorry. It's so messed up.
A gentleman on Twitter said, I'm really stoned, and I started wondering what Joe Biden would look like if he were this stoned. So I took a photo of my eyes and then put them on Joe Biden. So now we know. He actually did a decent job of matching everything. But he's got he just cut out his eyes from his picture and then pasted them on this picture of old President Joe Biden here. My favorite ones were like, these are the same picture. Those sorts of things. That Joe Biden had generally looks like he's stoned or not quite with it. But then, like, Twitter just always amazes me. And, like, almost instantly, a Twitter account was created called Stoned Biden with their Twitter account picture, the picture of stoned Joe Biden eyes that this guy had created. But, as you said, that'll probably be dead in a day. Didn't even last that long. It made 2 tweets, has 0 followers, and is following nobody. And otherwise has done nothing. So, failure to capitalize. But, just because the Democrats are drone striking folks in different countries for reasons unexplained and unexamined and unquestioned by the news media for reasons that I don't understand, other people think that the GOP tried to kill you all and everyone is suffering. I didn't know exactly what this was referring to.
I don't know. It refers to. I say it refers to like this weird thing out there. There's a general detachment from reality. I don't know what this is talking about.
Is it coronavirus stuff? Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know.
Let's see. Lack of courage and diversity. Wait. So they're not happy. They think diversity programming might be a distraction from them actually killing people. They tried to kill you, let alone have been killing all of us for generations. And you're disappointed that people start being, get more help. Oh man, I don't know. I don't entirely know. This further tweet leads me to believe that they think that it has something to do with maybe racial violence against minority communities. They have been killing all of us for generations. Referring to the Republicans. Boggled my mind. I didn't quite get it.
Got to go only back to 1860 or whatever, and that's it. That's when the GOP started.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was the Whigs, Adam. The Whigs. It was the Whigs.
It's the Whigs, man.
They were killing us before these Democrats.
It was the know-nothings. I don't know.
It was the Federalist Republicans back in 1799.
Yeah.
Completely detached from reality. I don't understand. The only people that are being killed, targeted to be killed by anybody, as far as I know, are apparently Syrians.
Yeah.
Oh, but Twitter be twittering, so I guess people just don't understand. I don't completely detach. Like, they blamed President Trump for the 400,000, probably, including all of those that have died since Biden took office, are all Trump's fault for reasons, whatever. Just like the coronavirus-induced recession was all of Donald Trump's fault for reasons that I don't completely understand. How you even rhetorically can assert that that's true and then have people believe it in a sort of meaningful way. But what have we here? Breaking news on Donald Trump. A golden idol of Donald Trump was actually being wielded to the CPAC conference. Oh, look at that magnificent. He's wearing flip-flops and American flag swim trunks, along with a suit and tie. And this is just proof that the Republicans and conservatives in this nation are worshiping a literal golden calf to Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who killed 500,000 Americans with the coronavirus personally by infecting them and
caused the insurrection that we can't actually say he caused the insurrection because he was acquitted.
The insurrection that he did cause to overthrow democracy on the worst attack against the government since 9/11, and his ruination of the economy, causing a near depression not seen since 2008. Due to his reckless presidency and poor leadership. And all of his drone strikes were accompanied by mean tweets. We can't let this oppressive autocrat stand any longer. We must remove him from... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me check something real quick. Turns out he's not the president anymore. Did you know? Adam, did you know that actually the authoritarian autocrat Donald Trump is not the president of the United States anymore? Somehow he was removed from office in a bloodless coup called an election.
A bloodless coup?
And he, in fact, isn't the president anymore.
Yeah, I think we discussed this about how you can't impeach a president for not when
he's not president.
Not a president.
Yeah.
Impeach. Yeah. So I don't know.
Unclear. They're still trying to kill us all, apparently, and worshiping Trump like an idol. And Donald Trump is probably the one behind trying to kill everyone still. Yeah, I'm just over here.
Not. He probably just wants to drink his Coke and golf.
I think he is speaking at the CPAC conference. Maybe we'll have to see. He's probably going to unleash more conspiracy. It's too dangerous to air. No one can report on it. Anybody who tweets a video of Trump speaking will be banned from the internet forever.
Yeah.
And their children, and their children's children.
And
not to the
and
seventh.
They will be punished up to the third and fourth generation.
Not to the seventh, but the 77th generation.
Oh my goodness.
That's the only way we can make this right. We must erase the name of Donald Trump from all discourse.
Let his name be stricken from the temples and the tablets. So let it be written. So let it be done.
That's what they were trying. We talked about that last week. They had that bill, and it said that any twice impeached
yeah, I know. It's
presidents are not allowed to.
We're talking about golden calves here and the Exodus story. Let the name of Moses be taken away.
Bong. He's got his thing. Oh man, makes me want to watch Ten Commandments again. It's such a good
Yeah,
movie.
do you have 4 hours?
Yeah. For that film? Heck yeah. I'll make Molly watch it with me and she'll hate every minute. This is how you build resentment in your children.
It's like watching Prince of Egypt and the 10th plague came and like, Dad, I'm scared. I'm like, you should be. You should fear the judgment of God.
Absolutely true. Because as we all know, God comes in many guises as well. A face for any group that may or may not believe in Jesus, including I believe this is Japanese Jesus.
That'd be Chinese Jesus.
Could be Chinese Jesus, East Asian Jesus, and then we have this Jesus. And this is just like regular Jesus. I can't recognize the characters. It might be without.
Yeah, I can't. It's too small on my screen. That's why I'm like, I need my eyeglasses and stuff.
Well, no, that's as big as it gets. I don't know. I think it's either Middle Eastern
like
Jesus.
Dance or stuff.
Yeah, or like
Doesn't
Pakistani, Indian
Yeah, like-
Jesus.
Indian, yeah.
We have, I believe, Native American Jesus. Is this the Jesus that the Mormons have?
No. I like the eagle.
No, I mean it's pretty rad.
I was also thinking Mongolian, but I don't know.
Oh, and then we have Black Jesus.
Is that Ethiopian?
No, it's English on there, so I'm guessing it's just American Black Jesus.
No.
And of these,
Because English doesn't mean.
they don't speak English in Ethiopia. They speak Ethiopian, as far as I know. All I know is of these 4 Jesuses, Black Jesus is my favorite. But I believe they are all heresy.
I don't.
And or blasphemy, depending on how you want to parse this pedantic terms.
Yeah, that's great, because you could say just the iconography in general is just blasphemous, right?
Right. Idolatry itself.
All 4 of those images are.
Yeah, crafting graven images of the Lord. And
Yeah,
then-
taking a very strict Protestant stance at it.
Right. I mean, if we were Calvinists in here, I'd probably have to burn my computer screen as we speak.
Chapter and verse, Zach. Chapter and verse.
From Calvinist practices about anti-idolatry and non-adornment?
Yeah, you pull up Exodus.
I don't know. I'm
Whatnot.
sure there's some epistle talking about how it's wrong.
No, it's great, because then like the iconography is like icons are different than like they have to be 2-dimensional, not 3-dimensional. Because according to Eastern Orthodoxy, 3-dimensionals are actual idols, not 2-dimensional. Those are icons.
Well, this is interesting because I did hear a story today about an idol, a small idol that was discovered in the Isles of Great Britain,
Ooh,
and it depicted a man from before Christ. And the man on the idol was depicted with a mustache and a mullet haircut. What an idol to have.
it's like no, this is like a bobblehead that was in some time traveler's pocket.
He fell out when he was back in time. And my favorite replies were probably like, "Oh, I didn't know there were Australians in Great Britain back when Christ was born." Sick burn on the Aussies. No, but the four pictures of Christ as shown were in response to a tweet that is now from a account that has been deleted. It says the account was suspended, I believe. So I don't know why, but it was basically like, white Christians are gonna hate this, but this is probably what Jesus really looked like. Dun, 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 dun. And it depicted like a Middle Eastern looking gentleman with long hair and a beard.
Yeah.
And so they're like, I don't think most Christians really care about the particular, what the guy looked like.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of the replies were. I'm like, you don't really understand Christians at all if you think that there's going to be some sick because Jesus wasn't the white, blonde, blue-eyed guy that is depicted in
he
popular
wasn't
media.
He-Man. It like I don't know. It's like a cell phone almost because it just displays the ignorance on how most Christians aren't white. I mean, their skin color is black and brown, and so
majority of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you're gonna hate this. So it's like I don't.
It tells you more about the folks that are posting that kind of stuff. It's like you have such a narrow view because your perception of what a Christian is what popular media has told you is like this, either the like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant like yuppie folks from the Northeast or whatever,
right,
going to their Presbyterian churches, what have you. Or it's it's the redneck guy, the poor rural whites.
Yeah,
clinging to their Bible and their gins, going to their church and everything's related to the Lord, and without having any real understanding about Christianity and how it's practiced even in the United States because it's been so, I don't know. It's so weird too, because it's like it's not that it's not talked about, because it's talked about a lot, but it's usually like colored in the narrative of those things. It's like there's some Westboro Baptist Church outside of military funerals holding signs saying that this is a punishment because we're allowing gay marriage in the United States or whatever, and saying that these soldiers deserve to die and those kind of stuff. These are the things that get prominence. It's like this is what Christianity is in the United States to people because this is how it's being publicized in it. But as a matter of fact, you may know this, Adam. There's actually a lot of immigrants that come here to this country because they are persecuted as Christians in their own lands. Perhaps from the land of China or other such places where...
Incidentally, I believe there was like a huge attack in, I think, Ethiopia over this past week on Christian churches, too. So, but yeah, there's also like a bunch of... you're right, it just shows their ignorance. There's a bunch of weird stuff that, if you don't know it, you would never think it. Like, I think that the missions from Nigerian churches to the United States outpace the other way around. So, like, here's a third world country gathering up the resources and coming to the United States to reach the lost, or what they think is the lost.
We need it. Like, send more people, please, Nigeria.
It's the thing. It's like, if you don't know that stuff, you'd never think that was going on. So,
absolutely correct. Not to mention ignoring the millions of Catholics in Latin and South America that just apparently aren't Christians or whatever. Although I did hear recently in the news that Hispanic people aren't, in fact, people of color, but are white, descended from Spanish people or whatever nonsense they were trying to do to recharacterize and move the goalpost on the racial discussion in the country. But
yeah, they're also doing that with Asian Americans too.
Yeah, they're white adjacent, Adam.
It's very, very strange.
I don't understand. That also true, because I was put on to this story that apparently came out in like 2017, but in Brazil, they had a history of slavery. It was longer than our own, and more African slaves were taken to Brazil than to North America and the United States. And there was a long history of intermarriages and then descendants of mixed race ancestry and all this stuff. In the society, it's stratified along racial lines, and basically it was colorism. Nobody in the country is like, pure European white person or whatever. But everybody's got different African ancestry in their past. And so there are different degrees of black. And the darker you are, the more phenotypically African you look, then that's how their racism, say, presents. This is how it was described. And so you're a lower caste, the darker you are, and you're a higher caste, the lighter you are. Even though, unlike in America where we had Plessy v. Ferguson and all this stuff, where one drop of African ancestry removed your white card or whatever it was, whatever kind of nonsense that is. They had the opposite thing where it doesn't matter how much African ancestry you have, but it depends on how much you present as a black African. And that's determines how people treat society. Anyway, Brazil passed some affirmative action thing where it said that it reserves a certain number of positions at public universities for black students. And so, because most people can claim to have black ancestry, that there was a bunch of people that looked like white guys with blonde hair and whatever that were saying that, oh yes, I am black. You must admit me under your program, and so I can get an easy way into this university. I don't have to compete for the unreserved spots with all of the other white folk, which for the most part don't exist in Brazil. And so they said, this isn't fair. These people are just faking it. They're not really black. They're white folks just saying they're black. And so then they had inquisition panels that would basically examine you on a phenotypical level and say, no. George there, his nose isn't wide enough to be considered black for purposes of being preferred for this program, or their gums aren't purple enough or whatever. And I believe you had mentioned, it reminded you of those things where they're examining slaves' teeth on the auction blocks before they decided if they were worthy to be admitted into the programs or whatever. Very strange, very strange.
It's very strange, very messed up stuff. I don't know. Seeing that stuff, I it's like I read that same excerpts from the history books in the 1850s or whatever in America.
Well, it's just interesting too because it's sort of a preview, because the idea comes down to the same thing when people talk about reparations or affirmative action in this country, because this is becoming more and more true, and you can see it in different things. For example, Elizabeth Warren got in a little hot water during the Democratic primary because she had claimed Native American ancestry on, I think, her college admissions or something like this.
Yeah. Yep. I think college or law school.
And they're like, you aren't Native American. And then Trump did his thing, and he's all on Twitter calling her Pocahontas and stuff and just being a complete a-hole like normal. So this is true. If you want to implement these racially, what do we want to call, progressive programs that institute quotas or other sort of standards for incentivizing and or requiring the inclusion of people of different ethnicities or racial backgrounds into your corporation or your university or whatever. Like, well, you have to have a reason. You have to have a way to figure that out, if they are or not, right?
Yeah.
Because look,
I guess.
I don't know who my ancestors were, and nothing really could stop me from saying that, I actually I am Native American or whatever. I identify as that, and there's maybe something in my family history that says that, oh, back in the day, great grandpa's wife was a Cherokee Indian. Like, oh, okay, whatever. So yeah, I'm part Cherokee. I don't know, somewhere in the back, someplace. And so then you have to say, no, you're not enough Cherokee to qualify. Well, how much Cherokee do I need to be? Well, I don't know. Now you have to create this weird thing. And it's like, even if you are enough Cherokee, you don't look enough Cherokee, and so you don't qualify for being able to receive this benefit or whatever.
Yeah.
Very strange stuff. Comes up, the wife, she has Native American ancestors. And so we talk about that sometimes, about, she doesn't necessarily consider herself or think of herself as necessarily Native American, because it's not like that wasn't part of the culture or whatever, I guess, in Pennsylvania where she came up or whatever. But it's like, it's true, and I don't know how to include, if we were talking about such things, to include discussions about ancestry and whatever. My mother was adopted, and so I don't know where her people came from necessarily. I've met them, but I haven't done a genealogy. Maybe I should get my 23andMe and carry it around in my pocket, and I can tell people, oh, no. This is my genetic ancestry. I've taken a blood test. They've sorted it out.
Yeah, and maybe you can, after a certain threshold of whatever in-group population markers you want, then you're qualified enough to get this job, or so, and something.
No, not you, because you don't look enough like it.
Even though you're 23% or 26.5%, you don't look.
Right. And to one degree, it doesn't matter, because there's an element of it is simplified and you rhetorically used to argue in favor of restricting inclusion to only those phenotypical people that look like whatever the group is, to say that that's the criteria that people will discriminate against you on. When you walk into a grocery store and you look like a black man, that's when people, follow you around, make sure you're not going to steal stuff. It's not the black guy that looks like a white guy. He doesn't get that negative treatment. He doesn't have that negative effect of being a black guy because he doesn't look black enough.
Right.
And if you have to know anything about colorism and how different tones of black people are treated differently in the black community, more black, less black, or they're even treated better because they're light skinned or have different eye colors and stuff. Recently, Ice-T tweeted about his experience because he's a light-skinned black guy with hazel eyes named Tracy. Growing up in the hood, he said he had to learn to fight young because he was picked on or whatever. And so there's that thing. If you present as to the world, and people see you as the low-class oppressed group, and then you're treated that way, okay, so you're facing that. But then there's this historic element that is also included often in these discussions, that the reason why the black community is disadvantaged to this day in America, for example, is because they have a history of oppression. And so redlining and et cetera, Jim Crow, et cetera, slavery, et cetera, put a stumbling block and has held them back. And that would affect any black person, regardless of how they present, because that's the stumbling block that affects everybody of that particular racial group, not just those people that today present as black, really, really black, in quotes, even though I think that the whole thing is silly. So, I don't know. Didn't make much sense to me. But, speaking of Ice-T, he had mentioned last week, and I think we had discussed, referenced an Iceberg Slim. And apparently, Iceberg Slim is semi-famous, though I never heard of him. Has his own Wikipedia page here. Born Robert Beck, was an American pimp who subsequently became an influential author and had his films made into movies. He wrote such films as Pimp, The Story of My Life, and Trick Baby, the biography of a con man. Mama Black Widow, a story of the South's black underworld. Oh man, I just really kind of want to read these now. The Naked.
That one sounds very interesting.
Yeah, The Naked Soul of Iceberg Slim, Robert Beck's real story. Long White Con, the biggest score of his life. Iceberg Slim. Doom. Ah, man. I'm just going to have to pick up all of Iceberg Slim's big bibliography and read it. We're going to do triggered book review of Mama Black Widow, a story of the South's black underworld, written in 1969. That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, written in the 60s?
Yeah.
Or was that about the 60s?
It was in the 60s. 1969 is its published date.
Man.
And finally for the night, we of course want to finish with our ice cold fact of the week. And this one is an ultra cold fact from Ice-T himself. It says, "You'll lose a lot of friends trying to be successful. That's why a Ferrari has 2 seats. And a bus has 60. That is ultra cold ice. Ultra cold.
Yeah.
Leaving all them fools on the bus. You're cruising off in your Ferrari. But that's our show for tonight, folks. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, feel free to share it with all of your friends. I'm sure that they would like to listen to us jabber on about nonsense as well. You can follow us on Twitter at triggered_media. And like the video, subscribe to the channel. You see when we post new videos, etc., etc., etc. Adam, do you have anything you'd like to end here at the end of the show?
I do not have anything to add or plug. Nope.
Excellent, excellent. Well, folks, it was good talking to you tonight, and we hope you have a good evening. We'll see you next time on Triggered. Good night.